Hi, everyone. I'm your host, Patty Giarrusso, and this is Let's Talk Pets on Society Bites Radio. Today, we welcome to the show Jon Dibernardo, and he is with the Underbone Railroad. And the Underbone Railroad is a group dedicated to helping animals in need get from shelters, foster homes, or owner surrenders transported to other rescues, adopters, and new foster homes in order to help save their lives. The Underbone Railroad is 100% volunteer and does not charge for their help. Most volunteers live on the East Coast. And Jon is an Army veteran who spent 28 years with the United States Postal Service before retiring in 2014. And even before retiring, Jon knew he wanted to continue serving the animal community and volunteered at local shelters and rescues. After being asked to transport several dogs, Jon knew he found his niche in rescue transport. And Jon, along with several other friends, started the Underbone Railroad to help with coordination and training of others interested in volunteering their time to rescue transport. Welcome to the show, Jon.
Hello.
Hi, Jon. So, what was interesting when I first came across your web page on Facebook there was and I reached out to see if you'd like to do the show because I had recently had a request for transport. And so I was searching around. And come to find out, you are from where I am from back in New York. I mean, we literally probably lived 5 minutes from each other. And I thought that, wow, what a small world. So you got involved in transport a few years back, and why don't you tell us, what made you decide this was something, you were so passionate about and wanted to help others get involved with?
Well, it's the dogs really. The first time I went on a transport was just a little local pick up a couple dogs at the airport, and the one dog was a little pit bull, and she was just so sweet, and she came out as a little Piper cub, so maybe she was just so happy to be on the ground, but she was just the sweetest thing. And I followed up, with her adoption, and there was another little dog, which he was so scared, and he was in a little carrier, and he didn't want to come out the carrier. Nobody wanted to stick a hand in to get him out. The pilot wanted his carrier so he can get in his plane and go back. And finally, I had to coax her out like a salt shaker, and she popped out, and she was fine. She just didn't want anybody reaching in that little space.
Yeah.
And that, and a couple weeks later, I helped some dogs get to a rescue that I've worked with extensively up in Canada, and having 5 dogs in my car and just driving along. I said, "Yeah, this is me."
Oh,
So,
I know there's a big need for it, especially now with things with the shelters having to be under different conditions due to the COVID crisis that we're under. Um, So, have you seen an increase in people wanting to volunteer to help you with this?
well, since our inception about 3.5 years ago, we've had a steady growth to today. We have 4,500 members.
Oh, wow.
There were 4 of us really, and a few other friends that when we first started out, it was just we wanted someplace to go where we could post runs and get drivers to fill runs and not have drama, because there are other groups out there, and some of them are pretty good, and some are regional, whatever. And the biggest one, Kindred Hearts Transport Connection, they're shut down due to COVID because they're so interstate that it's hard for them to protect everybody, because knowing all the different laws and all that in the different states.
Hmm.
It's something you got to keep up with. You got to know, like the state of Maine in particular, what are the quarantine laws? Quarantine is required in the state of Maine and state of Massachusetts for any inbound animal, even an owner. This owner is going to its owner, or with its owner into the state for the first time. It's got to be quarantined at a an approved quarantine place. So it's that kind of stuff that you need to know. And with COVID, it's so fluid. Kindred Hearts is just shut down, but there's a lot of regionals that are going. We're just one, and I consider us an individual group, as a transport group, as Underbone Railroad. We help out with a lot of puppy mill releases and with certain rescues, helping them get those dogs to their new lives. But we also an umbrella group where any volunteer rescue transport group that's legitimate and follows rules and safety protocols and all that can post their runs to get drivers to fill their runs. And our goal is to help those people get their runs filled every week and keep the page clear of any unnecessary blather, so to speak. We don't allow posts. We don't allow posts of lost dogs unless they're lost on transport. We don't allow posts of dogs that need rescue or foster. There's pages for all that stuff, especially with the lost dogs. If you're in Minnesota and you post a lost dog on our page, it's just nobody that needs to see it's going to see it so much. Where if it was lost on transport, there's a lot of transport people involved and resources available. That's fine. But we just don't want to clog the page up with a lot of other stuff. We have, on average, about 50 different runs a week that we're trying to keep up with, and there's an overlap, and next week's runs are already up, and trying to get rid of the ones that are completed or canceled for whatever reason. It's a lot to keep up with. I spend hours every week, and my other admins do as well. We stay busy with it, and sometimes I wish we had more admins, and I certainly wish we had another transport coordinator, because that's just a hard job. It's very stressful. It's a lot of work.
Yeah, well, maybe reaching out here, someone will hear that is interested, and at the end you can give your contact information, and maybe you'll get some help with that. I'm surprised that there's that many. That was going to be one of my next questions. 50 a week is a lot. So are you able to actually fill every need that you get each week?
Most of them, but a lot of our groups that post under our umbrella also post other places, their own pages, other group pages. There's like a weekday transport page, volunteer transport page that specializes in weekdays. There's crossover. I mean, you might post it 4 or 5 different places. You might post it in the state transport pages. Each state has their own page. Mm-hmm. And a lot of them are run by the same person. They have kind of strict rules. So, that's they were always there. But like I said, we created our group because we wanted someplace to go where we could just do just this. Mm-hmm. And it's hard sometimes keeping up, and sometimes people think we're being mean or whatever because we don't want to, show pictures of dogs that need homes. It's just there's plenty of pages for that. Yeah. And once they get a home and they need a ride, come back with that dog, and we'll do everything we can to help that dog get where it's got to go.
Yeah, and it doesn't surprise me that you say that, because we deal with the same thing through my organization and Lost Pets, people trying to rehome pets and do this and that, and a page is a page, and their mission is their mission, and people need to accept that, and that's what it's for. There's a reason why you do what you do. There's a reason why I do what I do, and you don't want to mix them up because your mission is helping transport. So I get that for sure. Now, why don't you tell me some of the rules of the road, as you call them? Is that where you started talking about, knowing the different state requirements and that type of thing?
Well, that's really important for the coordinator to know. Also, breed-specific legislation laws, which I just saw Aurora, Colorado just repealed theirs after Denver did, so that's a good thing. But some of the places, if you, like in Canada, if you can't drive even a service dog through Toronto without it being at risk. So obviously you don't take pit bulls through Toronto, but Ontario is a whole separate issue with that anyway. But most importantly is that in all the states, if you're going to transport interstate from one state to another, the dogs are required to have proof of their rabies vaccinations, and they're also required to have a health certificate that's signed by a veterinarian within 14 days of the end of the travel. So it's you got to make sure you get it right, and a lot of places require some type of foster, out of rescue foster prior to travel, just to make sure that they have time for any sicknesses to be weeded out, because we don't want to be transporting unhealthy animals, especially parvovirus is very, very contagious and very, very deadly and very, very expensive to treat.
Yeah.
When we as a group or driver pick up an animal, at that point, the animal no longer belongs to the shelter. It belongs to the rescue. It does not belong to us. It belongs to the rescue. So any decisions about that are made through the monitor and the transport coordinator. If there's an issue, they contact the rescue, and then they say, okay, it's got to go to the vet, and then they figure out how they're going to pay for it and all that. And, if it comes down to it, whether the animal is put down, if something bad's found, or, it happens rarely, or just, sometimes dogs get a little sick on the ride, and usually it's just to check their gums, make sure they have water. With puppies, we give them Nutrical to keep their energy up. But the health certificate is very important, because that tells everybody involved that the animal is soon to be healthy by a veterinarian.
Yeah. So what are the types of things that a rescue transporter needs to be prepared for in order to transport a pet? Like, how do you train them and to teach them to know what to do to transport a pet and be prepared for that?
Well, on our page, I have 4 instructional videos that are intended to help with that. One specifically talks about puppies and the special protocols required with them, because we call them no paws on the ground. And that means that they literally can't touch the ground. If we put them down, we put down a barrier. I use a lot of, sorry for the plug, Dollar Tree shower curtains, because they cost $1 and we use them once and throw them away. Some people use different things, but it with tablecloths, cheap tablecloths, whatever it is, it can't be used again, because once it touches the ground, it's assumed to be contaminated. And the problem with parvo is it can last for up to several years in the ground dormant, and all it takes is for a dog to walk on that spot where an infected dog pooped 5 years ago, and the poop's long gone. Well, I don't know if it goes quite 5 years, it's several years. And it can happen, So we keep track of parvo contamination hotspots and whatever. We avoid those places. If a driver drives a parvo animal, breaks during any time during transport or within the 2 weeks after transport, then when I had it in my car, I didn't transport puppies for 6 months. I got rid of my crates, bedding, everything, that even though I sanitize after every run, my crates and my bedding, as a precautionary, I just got rid of them, because I don't want to take a chance of giving that to another puppy, because it could be you can't see it. It's microscopic, so it's something it's very, very bad. And if a puppy gets it, it's probably going to cost $1,500 to $2,000 to get that puppy back to health, if you're lucky enough to get them the fluids or whatever that it needs, and get the rescue to approve it fast enough, because it's like the flu for dogs, sort of. They get dehydrated, they get diarrhea, they vomit. The more they vomit, the more diarrhea, the more dehydrated they get. It goes south fast.
Yeah, it's a bad thing.
But so we try to avoid that at all costs, and that's why part of one of the rules, for puppies is we put down a safe barrier in addition to whether it's a clean tablecloth or sheet or whatever, between my car and their crate, even though they're not going to touch it. Well, Paul might touch it going in and out, dragging, whatever. Don't want them to touch anything that's not sanitized. And then, like with the mom, if a mom goes with them, we usually keep the mom separate. But if she has to go in the crate with them, we have to sanitize her feet after she does her business, because we don't want her carrying anything in